right, folks, it's that time. It's WrestleMania week. We got to talk about it. We cannot let it go on this channel. You know, if you've been here before, we talk about wrestling, and I have a special guest, ECW Taz 4. Don't forget the 4. Thanks for joining me. How's it going? Yeah. Yeah. So, Taz is a Hearthstone streamer. He's live most nights. It's usually poker night, so I caught him on a good night when they weren't having it. I'm gonna put the guest command in chat so you can get information on him, and we'll get you from there. No, I'm hearing no audio on him. Okay, let's try it again. Hopefully we got it there. Anyway, he
Hey,
does. Yeah, go ahead. Try it again.
what's going on,
Yeah,
guys?
we got it. We
ECW
got him.
has four here.
We
Cool.
got him. We got him. So, wealth of wrestling knowledge. He does Wrestling Wednesdays on his channel, which is a weekly thing usually, right?
That is correct. Get all
Yes.
the theme songs going, and yeah, we talk about what's going on through the week of wrestling.
He's got Adam Cole Bebe alert sound as well. Boom. Yeah, that's right. So we got a guy with plenty of knowledge here. I hope you enjoy the graphics. By the way, I found the TNA logo fonts for our names, and then get the real random like 1980s wrestling belt to go
I'm a
along with that.
product of 1980s wrestling, so
Yeah.
that's where I got all my fandom from. So I definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, there we go. All right. Well, I'm sure we could talk about a lot of things, probably for a very, very long time, right? So,
Oh,
uh,
definitely.
WrestleMania is this weekend. They switched up the schedule a little bit. NXT TakeOver is now on Friday, Hall of Fame on Saturday, and then the main event on Sunday. But before we get into any of that, you said you got your started your fandom in the '80s. Maybe you just tell the folks, when you started getting into wrestling, what really drew you to it? Maybe some of your favorite memories as well.
Yeah, for sure. Started out, grew up in Michigan, Detroit area. So WrestleMania 3 was kind of concurrent with when I started, paying attention to wrestling.
Hmm.
And of course, I was too young. I was about 4 years old, so it's not like I could go to WrestleMania 3.
Yeah.
But it was also one of those things that I started enjoying wrestling because my parents told me I can't watch it. It's, too violent. You don't want to get it, into that crap. It's gonna lead you to nowhere and stuff. And 30 years later, I'm still watching and still talking about it.
Nice. Was there ever a period of time in that stretch that you just kind of fell out of love with it or weren't paying attention much?
I don't know that it was ever fall out of love with it,
Yeah.
but yes, I went to college like 2001,
Yeah.
and from that period, 2001 to about 2010 is when I ended up kind of. I think everybody has their dead period,
Yeah. Hmm.
and yeah, between that period, so pretty much the 2000s is my one dead spot. Mainly because the cable package we had at college didn't have USA Network, didn't have TNN, and
Yeah.
so I kind of got away from it. And then when I started watching again, it was actually CM Punk that brought me in. It was
Hmm.
the realism of, is he leaving? Is he coming back?
Right.
Is he taking the title with him to New Japan?
Hmm.
And I, even through the 2000s, I had been in internet newsletters, but it was that storyline that kind of made me say, you know what, I want to go back and check it out, and hook, line, and sinker, just enjoying it ever since.
Yeah. We share very similar stories with our how our interest went. I should say. CM Punk thing definitely brought me back too when I had gone away from it for a little bit. So that's really cool. It's really cool. All right. So before we get into the actual matches this weekend, like I said, they changed the Hall of Fame over to Saturday night, right? And this is used to be Friday night. Ceremony was like 4 hours. It'd still be 4 hours, I'm sure. But I remember
Plus.
getting an email asking like I went to WrestleMania last year and I got an email that said, "Are you interested in the Hall of Fame?" Like they were having trouble selling tickets. It felt like so. It feels like they're trying to do some stuff around it to make folks be more interested in the Hall of Fame. Should we be interested in? What are you taking away from the Hall of Fame class this year?
Well, with the Hall of Fame, the one interesting thing that I'm finding from it, they changed it from Friday to Saturday night
Mm.
because at Madison Square Garden, they're actually having a super card
Yeah.
with some Impact wrestlers, some Ring of Honor, guys like that. And in my recent memory, this is the first time that I've ever realized or recognized that WWE is actually noticing that there's competition
Mm-hmm.
and actually recognizing other brands.
Right.
So that is kind of big in its own self. And the fact that they switched Takeover made those two different. I think that is big in itself. But Hall of Fame, it's always too long. And the best thing and the worst thing about it is they have, no time limits. So
Yeah.
you can have some of your great wrestlers, some of the great childhood memories you have, but
Mm-hmm.
when they end up going 45 minutes, like the one year with Mr. T, I mean, yeah, you've got a great mohawk, you were on the A team, but nobody
Yeah.
wanted to listen to your life story for 45 minutes. And I think it's the only time that they actually pulled the hook on somebody. I
Yeah.
remember, I think it was Kane came out and said, "All right, yeah, you're good. Well, we
Yeah.
got somebody else that we need to talk to." So,
Right.
yeah, the Hall of Fame class should be interesting, but uh, hopefully they keep it to 10, 15 minutes and, wrap it within 3 hours.
That would be nice, wouldn't it? So we got Tori Wilson, Honky Tonk Man, Harlem Heat, D-Generation X, Heart Foundation, Bruce the Barber Beefcake, and was it Sue Aitchison is like the legacy going in.
Yes, the Warrior
Yeah, the
Award.
Warrior
Yeah.
Award, right? So um, for me, it's the fact that China is being included in this is a big deal, but they it's I feel like almost she should be going in by herself, not as a member of DX. What do you think?
Well, and I think for women's wrestling, if you have like a Mount Rushmore, which I think everybody always has, you have like a Mae Young, you have
Thank you.
a Fabulous Moolah, and China is one of those four that you always have. And I think she was just in a time when there was absolutely no women's wrestling, no divas, and she proved she could kind of hold her own with the men,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of amazing. She's a intercontinental champion. I want to say 2 or 3 times women's champion before they had the Divas belt.
Right.
So I think she deserves to have her own, her own individual night, but or individual part of the night, not be part of Degeneration X. But
Right.
there's way too many politics, especially being Triple H's former girlfriend and the fact that Triple H is now married to the McMahon family. I think there's just way too much to say, hey, let's bring China in. And also, there's the pornography angle that you could go into that will probably stop whatever her getting inducted.
True. Gordino in chat says she deserves it. Yeah, so Gordino says she deserves it, and I think there's a lot of people that share that. But also, like you're saying, there's the pornography angle. There's some others. Also, thanks for hosting the stream. It looks like your influence is already impacting the stream. That's one of your fellow Hearthstone streamers. Thank you very much.
Nah,
uh,
I don't know. I bring a following. They just,
yeah,
the endless, the army that walks into nowhere, right?
yeah, it's right. I appreciate that very much. So it's good. Uh, but honest to God, if there was nobody watching, I would have fun talking to you about this because I think it's nice to always find somebody that shares a lot of knowledge with about wrestling. So um, all right, so Hall of Fame is what it is. I probably won't necessarily watch it. Hi everybody in chat. Thanks for coming by. Thanks for listening to us talk about people beating each other up in a squared ring. I very much appreciate that. So, all right, let's get on to some of
Spandex, you got to include that.
in the spandex, yes. Or depending on if you've ever watched old What Culture, Vince McMahon likes big sweaty men. That's one of my favorites there. Hey, Chris, how you
Yep.
doing? So, all right, let's talk about NXT. I do want to talk about this whole card. We're gonna not talk about every other match that happens this weekend, but every match on the NXT card is a title match this time around, which doesn't always happen necessarily, but NXT Takeover in New York. Let's start with Walter versus Pete Dunne. Pete Dunne has been UK champion now since 2016, the longest reigning champion by far. He got a little bit of a run on the main shows, but then they made the NXT UK brand, so obviously that's where he's been spending his time. The Bruiserweight, will he
Listen,
lose the title for the first time since 2016?
Walter's very intriguing,
Yeah.
especially just a big body type, someone that should give Pete Dunne some trouble.
Mm-hmm.
But it is easy to be the longest reigning champion when there's only been two champions. So I mean, that's obviously the easy way to do it.
Yeah,
But I do believe that Pete Dunne will retain. He's been doing so much good stuff for NXT UK. I think he's
yeah,
a great brand ambassador, and they needed to bring in a guy like Walter to kind of be the bully, the big guy that comes in and establishes the brand. And I thought Walter was coming straight to NXT, and that was a very nice swerve, and was amazing to bring somebody like that in, and I think gave him credibility right away.
yeah. Did you happen to see the NXT UK whenever Walter made his debut and hear the ovation that he got?
The I believe the one in Blackpool. Yeah, I
Yes.
thought that was NXT UK is one of my dark spots. Don't really follow it as much because there's so much product out there.
Hmm.
But I did watch that show, and yeah, Walter just completely carried the night and was amazing with everything that he was able to do.
Yeah, yeah. It was one of the biggest ovations for like one of the smallest crowds I've ever really heard in my life. It was just pretty incredible.
it
So
it,
a very
it
loved
honestly
individual.
reminded me, yeah, it honestly reminded me of a lot of the ECW crowds at the Hammerstein, and just
Yeah.
how loud, how impactful they are. I know that ECW arena was always huge, but when I went to the Hammerstein Ball, it just seemed like all the sound just went straight up and hammered right back down into the ring.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's I makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that was. I mean, it was amazing. Just even hearing it on video. Obviously being there, I can imagine. Probably would have felt that one like rumble through my skin if I was in place there. So I think that's going to be a fun match to watch, though. Very big, tall, ridiculously oversized individual in Walter, and then just this really stocky built Pete Dunne. We'll have to see how they play it out. So.
And if it's the opener, I think that's a great way to start the weekend.
Hmm.
Both very athletic for their builds, so that
Hmm.
should be very intriguing. See how the match goes. But if that's the first match, that's going to be hard to follow for the rest of the weekend, which we've seen NXT a lot of time set the standard.
Yeah, just so as I mentioned, I went to WrestleMania last year, but I also went to NXT, and that's where Aleister Black won the title. Uh, yeah, it took the whole weekend for me. It was no contest in my opinion. So, all right, North American Championship, Matt Riddle, the Bro, versus Velveteen Dream.
Bro,
Bro, what's up, bro? Anyway, Velveteen Dream, Patrick, he was on Tough Enough, knew everything about wrestling. They gave him a shot to come back and be a wrestler, taking this gimmick of Velveteen Dream and just taking it by the horns and run with it. Fans love him, but he's not been the champion for very long. So what do you see happening here?
actually, out of every single match this weekend, I think this will be the one that steals the show. This will
Yeah.
be the one match that will probably be, the possible 5 star. It's the one that I'm most excited for, even though I'm the biggest Adam Cole fan, and he's, we'll get to it later,
Yeah.
wrestling for the world championship. I honestly, I don't know who's gonna win. I just feel like there's gonna be a bunch of moves. The fact that Velveteen Dream just has a great gimmick going for him, Matt Riddle, his MMA background, and both being two just big time independent guys that just kind of coming out of nowhere and showing how great the independent scene is, and then just taking it to the next level up in NXT.
Yeah.
So I don't have a winner for you there, but I do think that it will steal the show and possibly be the match of the weekend.
Yeah, I think it'd be really really fun to watch because Velveteen obviously tries a lot of things that are crazy. He's a lankier individual, and I think that allows him to do good things. Good night. Thanks for coming by. But then Matt Riddle, the fans obviously love him. The whole bro gimmick is just taking him everywhere. It seems like. Have you, by chance, just a little side note? Do you watch any of the Performance Center YouTube videos that they do?
No, I haven't watched any of that stuff. Anything that they do is the stuff that I watch that's on NXT that they actually put up. But
Yeah.
no, I haven't watched any of that individual stuff.
So they did a I don't want to say it was like maybe a 6 minute video on Matt Riddle, and they like went to his house and showed his wife and had his wife talking to his kids and stuff. Like he comes across like living the gimmick without a doubt, and
Living the bro dream.
yeah, exactly. And so like it makes him much more believable, and in some ways I think much more relatable because it's not like he's not somebody he's not trying to portray too far off of what he really is. But anyway, side note there. I
Well, no,
think
and I do think that the best
yeah.
characters are just themselves turned up to about an 11 or 12.
Mhm.
Because if
Mhm.
I mean that was Stone Cold Steve Austin when you really think about it. When he was the ringmaster, when he was stunning Steve in WCW, he was good, but he wasn't great. So, but when he ended up turning into this, SOB, stomping
Yeah.
mud holes in
Yeah.
people and just having no filter,
Yeah.
you saw what he was and turned into this great, one of the best characters of all time.
Yeah. Trish says, lurking for a bit. Good luck to us. Hope Taz has fun talking about wrestling with someone else besides himself.
Good old Trice.
Yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate that, and thanks for the follow and the host. Um, yeah, so if there's somebody out there listening that is like in the weeds wrestling fan, I would very much tell you to go and check out those YouTube videos of the WWE Performance Center. I think it's WWE PC or something like that on YouTube.
Well, they
Uh,
also did a very good chronicle on Matt Riddle as well. So
yeah,
that could have been some of the same footage. I'm not positive, but
very
they
much could
did
have
kind
been.
of
Yeah,
the same stuff.
yeah, very much could have been part of that as well. And then, so transitioning next to a match that I think will be kind of the letdown of NXT Takeover, but the Dusty Rhodes Classic finale of War Raiders versus Aleister Black and Ricochet, who apparently are going to be everywhere. Yes, superstars. You're right. I'm sorry, I'm not using the right nomenclature. I will definitely fix that. But anyway,
Throw Gordino in the penalty box. We'll get
it's all
him out
right.
of here.
It's all right. So Aleister Black and Ricochet are going to be everywhere over these next few days. Um, but they have to. They're facing the War Raiders. Any reason why the War Raiders would lose here?
I see no reason for them to lose, but
Yeah.
interesting side note, I was at the last NXT Roadshow that
Okay.
Ricochet and Aleister Black were at probably 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, start of
Okay.
March.
Yeah.
And they had a curtain call. They pretty much said, it's a great time, glad to be in NXT, but
Hmm.
you guys will probably be seeing us doing bigger and better things.
Yeah.
So the fact that we've continued to see them, I mean, there's a chance that they win. It doesn't look likely, but there was also a chance that, or there was no chance that the Undertaker was going to lose if Brock Lesnar beat him. So when you end up having predetermined things happen, you never know. But I don't see there's any reason for the War Raiders to lose here.
Yeah. I don't. I just can't see it. Uh, and I think there's probably storylines already in place for the next tag teams that will be challenging for NXT tag team champions. I mean, I think I heard a rumor a couple months ago that the Street Profits were going to get a push soon-ish. I don't know that Street Profits War Raiders is a great battle necessarily,
Yeah, I
but
don't think the body types match up very
yeah,
well, but yes, that would be a match that I would love. I believe they've held gold over at Evolve. I think it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like in the
mm-hmm,
past couple months.
yep.
So I think that they're just kind of biding their time, and it's actually interesting to see a good tag team division as opposed to what you see at the big rosters.
Yeah, yes, yeah. We might talk a little bit about that later, but yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Not the greatest tag team division in any way, shape, or form. All right. Well, let's talk. I know you're a big Adam Cole fan, so let's leave that one to last on the NXT card. We have the women's championship match is a fatal four way. It's got two friends involved in it: Io Shirai and Kairi Sane, and Shayna Baszler and Bianca Belair are the other two in the match. Shayna Baszler's been the champion for a while now. Her last opponent for the title really in a big spot was Bianca Belair. Although I think Mia Yim got a title shot somewhere along the line as like a filler kind of thing. Um,
Story builder.
yeah, story builder exactly. Thanks for following Gordino, by the way. I appreciate that. Fatal four way. Shayna Baszler with her two cronies on the outside. They're looking in probably, or somewhere in the crowd waiting to pounce. Uh, Io Shirai, Kairi Sane, and Bianca Belair. How do you think this match is going to unfold?
First, I'll say that I absolutely hate four ways. I hate three-way matches. If you're gonna fight for the title,
Yeah.
it should be a one-on-one matchup. There's no reason to have just extra people. Um, I'm a huge Shayna Baszler fan. I really followed MMA. Big amateur and professional wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact that she has an amateur wrestling background. She's a shoot fighter. Learned under the tree of Josh Barnett,
Mm-hmm.
and there's really I don't see a reason why she should lose, even though it's four way. She's got the deck stacked in her favor, having some help in the outside. But I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up being Bianca Belair's night at the end.
Do you think there's a chance that they're trying to get Shayna up to the main roster soon?
I think there is, but for whatever reason, whenever I think that's going to happen, it
Mm-hmm.
never does, and it carries over for another 3 months, another 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that there's an opportunity, but when we get to the main roster, I know that there's things to talk about for that with their title change or with their title match and stuff. So it might be a vacant title opportunity, or not a vacant, but it might be a not very clear title picture
Mm-hmm.
on the main roster, but it might become very cloudy and murky with the title shot that's happening in the main event. So I think she could go up, but you know, the best night in wrestling after WrestleMania is always that Monday Night Raw and Tuesday
Yeah.
Night SmackDown. So I'm sure we'll find out a couple Easter eggs when that all happens.
Yeah, it's very true. I'll be honest with you, I'm really interested in this match. I think there's a, I think there you could make a story for almost every single person that's in this match winning the title, in my
Oh,
opinion.
without a doubt, there's four possible winners, not just
Mm-hmm.
because there's four superstars in it,
Mm-hmm.
but especially with Shirai and Kairi Sane, their background, the fact that they're friends. We all know
Mm-hmm.
when you're friends, you're just one barbershop window away from becoming enemies.
Right.
So with that happening, I mean, that could you could easily have a heel turn there.
Mm-hmm.
Bianca Belair, I think, is ready and she's proven it.
Mm-hmm.
And Shayna Baszler, she could easily just be the longest reigning champ that NXT has seen. And a lot of people say she's got boring matches. I think she's just very technically sound and able to control. She controls an arena, whether you like her, love her, or
Mm-hmm.
hate her.
Yeah, and I haven't. I usually, you being a poker guy, I know you probably do this too. But I usually look at the odds as to who folks are picking. But I haven't done that yet. Have you looked at any of the odds for these matchups?
For me, I like to stay in the world that's kayfabe only. So I
Yeah,
try to stay away from that stuff, just
yeah.
because people like saying it's predetermined, which I guess it is. But no, me personally, I try and stay away just because I like living in the world. We're suspending reality by watching wrestling, right?
Yeah,
So I try
exactly,
and stay
exactly.
suspended, and I try and stay away from spoilers and what has happened like that. So me
Yeah,
personally, I've stayed away from it. But
yeah.
no, if you do have something, you're more than welcome to share.
Yeah, I look at the odds for the big events. I don't really look at for most of the other ones, but they're not always true right either, though. You know what I mean? Like I think with when it comes to like Vegas odds, there's sporting events that the handicappers do a much better job with it than they do with wrestling. You know, so um, I don't know how recent this is, but it actually has Belair as the favorite. So, but not too far ahead of Baszler either. So I think
And
even
the fact that it's predetermined, you kind of see that
mm-hmm.
I have a friend that one of his biggest paydays betting on Brock Lesnar versus Undertaker
Oh
as
yeah.
a plus 900 underdog. So
Oh jeez.
you can never the fact you're betting on wrestling, I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
number you need to call.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
yeah, it's the fact that there's two females that are up there that are real close in the odds. I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of shows that it should be a pretty good matchup.
Yeah, yeah, I think so too. Um, the Mia Yim stuff in between as the filler was just, I guess, more to establish dominance with Baszler in a way, right? I mean, they're just the beat downs and using her four horseman MMA stable to show what power she has in NXT. It feels like.
Yeah, and also I think it's a way to move the storyline and also introduce her because she does have a very good background.
Yeah, yeah,
Mia Yim does,
yeah, she does.
and you bring the underneath people up, show what they have, and hopefully you're able to use them later down the road
Hmm.
because there's no sense bringing in someone that you've never heard of
Yeah, exactly.
because what good is that going to do? That's as Tony Schiavone says, that's not going to put butts in seats.
That's right. This is again. I'm going to go on a tangent here a little bit, but I'm a fan of Mia Yim. But I noticed that on some of the house shows that her and Tainara Conti were teaming together. That is seems like a match made in heaven right there.
Yeah, no, I have not heard that, but yeah, that actually does make sense, and I could see that going places.
Yeah, I
And
think that would
especially
be
with
awesome.
women's tag team title being defended, whether
Hmm.
it's the main roster NXT. I mean, you could go either way, whether they're against each other or tagged up together. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know. I don't really. I haven't really made a prediction for anything yet since we've been talking. But I kind of. I honestly feel like this is that Shirai wins the title to build up some kind of weird storyline with Kyrie. I don't know what. Um, but then that they don't quit on the Baszler side because I think there's a lot more depth that can still be developed there. That's my opinion. We'll see how it goes.
Either way, like within the next 3 6 months, I think that there's a bunch of storylines you can go. Even if Shayna Baszler goes to the main roster, even if you end up taking a look and seeing um, uh, Shirai and Kyrie Sane turning on each other,
Yeah.
someone costing the other the title shot.
Hmm.
I think it's Bianca Belair's time, but yeah, I think there's a possible storyline for all four of them, and that's what makes wrestling interesting.
Where do you think that's going to be on the card? And where do you think they're going to put that match?
I actually think what you kind of had it in order. I think
Yeah.
it's going to be the NXT UK. I could see the tag team and the women's title flip flopping because it seems like historically it's kind of been the second match, the women's title match.
Hmm.
But I could see either of those flip flopping between, and then I feel like the NXT North American title will be second to last.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. All right. Well, let's get to one that you're definitely interested in. The NXT title. Tommaso Ciampa had to give that up because of neck surgery. Um, I think this is his third one in a very short period of time. So
And
whether or
I don't
not,
know why you would think I'd be excited about that, especially in the chat window or anything. So,
boom,
yep,
yeah.
little boom.
So it was supposed to be Champa versus Gargano for this. Now it's Gargano versus Adam Cole, Baby.
Baby.
2 out of 3 falls match. Both of these guys could probably wrestle for an hour and a half if they wanted to. Both have some incredible stamina. Um, all right, taking your fandom out of this, I'm expecting a great match here. I don't see any way this falls down short of expectations. Do you see any way this is not a good match?
Well, fandom aside,
Yeah.
my two favorite, or I would have to say that my two favorite wrestlers in NXT are Johnny Gargano and Adam Cole. So
Oh,
I am
nice. Yeah.
extremely excited for
Extremely
this
excited.
matchup, and it should be. Yes, they can both wrestle pretty much anywhere in the ring. They can go outside the ring. They've proven that they are just great at everything. I mean, there's a reason why it's called Johnny Takeover, right?
Yeah. Right. Right.
So it should be no matter where it goes, the Undisputed Era will be involved one way or another. And they've kind of hinted at that last week, saying that he will be, or, you might beat me once, but I've got these three guys with me that will make sure you don't win twice.
Yeah.
So that will be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah. I so I didn't know going into this. Going into this, I thought that Champa would stay champion. You know, but now that that's not a factor, this is obviously going to go to the third fall, right? So it's not something that's going to be over soon. Um, I mean, how? What do you see happening here? How do you see it transitioning? Who gets the first fall? That's always a good question to have, right? Who gets the first fall?
I honestly believe that Gargano will get the first fall, and it will
Yeah,
be because the Undisputed Era does get involved.
yeah.
Some sort of illegal shenanigans,
Mm-hmm.
but it also could give Adam Cole a victory just because he maybe the ref doesn't see anything and something happens outside, outside the
Yeah.
ring. Maybe Steven Regal comes out and says, "Hey, you guys can't do that. You're barred from ringside."
Mm-hmm.
But I do think Gargano will win the first match, or will win it by hook or crook, whatever
Yeah.
happens, and it should set up an extremely exciting two falls coming up after that.
Yeah. So since these are your two favorites, do you have a favorite that you want to see the belt around, or are you just kind of looking for a good match?
I think it's going to be a phenomenal match.
Yeah.
So either way, you're going to see. I mean, if you ask me, Gargano has probably had the best match in probably 6 of the last 7 takeovers he's been in. So we shouldn't be surprised with anything that he does. Adam Cole will be amazing. Um, I think it's Adam Cole's time. Fandom not aside. So I think that's going to be exciting. But especially since Gargano and Ciampa were up at the main roster as a tag team. That really threw a wrench. I wasn't, once that happened, I don't know what to expect. Were they really going to go to the main roster? Did they have plans?
Right.
Or, does that mean Gargano's going to hold the title because he looks like a great option and because their world champ is, in a hospital bed for the next 9 months?
Right.
I really don't know. So it's very intriguing. I think it's going to be a great match and should really set up the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. People are definitely going to be talking about this for quite some time. I would think and as you've said, he's had so many good matches at takeovers to begin with. I see M Kaiser has your emote too.
Yep,
Awesome,
yep.
awesome, very nice. Um, yeah, and I think definitely could be in the running for best match of the entire weekend without a doubt. Especially because they're going to give them so much time to perform, right? But um, let me ask you this, because I had somebody ask me this a couple weeks ago. They told me basically that they feel like Gargano's matches follow the same formula almost every single time, and that you almost know exactly what's coming next. That's what I was told. Do you feel that in any way when you watch him wrestle?
Wow. Um, I feel that he has the same package of moves,
Yeah.
so I can see where that happens and why people would think that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, look at Bret Hart. He had his 5 moves of doom. It's
Yeah.
the same thing that he just kept doing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, I could see that. I don't think that that's the case because a lot of times he's underneath in the match
Yeah.
and needs to, or at least in my mind, he finds a way to come from underneath to get a victory or to make the match entertaining, even when he does lose.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It will be interesting to see what happens, but yeah, I've actually never heard that, but I do think that that is
Mm-hmm.
interesting. So
Kaiser says give Cole the title and keep him off the main roster for as long as possible.
I like that plan. That's a good idea. That's a great idea.
Yeah, you know what? I can't really disagree with that. I actually would like to see Cole win the title here because I think he can carry NXT for quite some time. Whereas it feels like the transition was already being made for Gargano to move on.
Well, and what was the goal of the Undisputed Era at the beginning of the year? They were going to be all 4 of them were going to be dripping in gold by the
Right.
end of 2019. So
Right.
I think that just kind of starts a storyline right there of how they're going to pursue everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's NXT. That's the card. We've gone through them all already. Amazingly enough. Um, but I think as wrestling fans, that could be something we're talking about for quite some time. And then you mentioned it that the best show could potentially be is usually the Monday Raw after all this is over. Any of these folks that are on this card, other than Aleister Black and Ricochet, do you think that we'll see them on on Monday or Tuesday?
Wow.
Yeah.
Let's see. If Shayna Baszler loses,
Mm-hmm.
there's a good chance you'll see her on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
Um, based on the fact that they have like Dominic Dijakovic, or
Mm.
I call him Dijak because he's had like 7 different names in
Yeah.
NXT.
Yeah.
Guys like that, Keith Lee. I could easily see the loser of the Matt Riddle Velveteen Dream be called up because
Mm-hmm.
both of them are just superstars in the making. They both could use a little bit more seasoning, but I could also see them being called up way too early.
Yeah.
But I also could see the roster stay the same because look, they brought up what 6, 7
Mm-hmm.
people at the end of February, I think it was.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
So why would you just overcrowd the roster even more? And then
Mm-hmm.
by the end of April, we always have that yearly future endeavors of people being cut. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that, Kaiser. I'll do that in a second. Yeah, you know what? I think one of the interesting things here is that I just don't. I think people anticipate a lot of these folks moving up, right? But um, I don't think that there's going to be a lot. I just don't. I honestly think that if anyone moves up, it could potentially be Pete Dunne if he loses. I know they want to carry him on the UK brand, but I think he has fans kind of all over the world at this point in time. So,
Well, and the sad thing is, if Pete Dunne does go up,
mhm.
I don't think it's going to be on the main roster. It's going to be to 205 Live,
Right,
unfortunately,
right.
and that's not an upgrade at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And I turned him up a little bit, Kaiser. So let me know if you can't, if it still needs to be go up a little bit further. Please let me know. Um, all right, well let's transition. We're move into the actual WrestleMania, which is 17 hours long. Um, last year was tough. They opened with one of the best matches of the entire weekend, the Intercontinental three way, Seth Rollins, The Miz, and whomever else was in it. I can't remember at this point in time. Anyway,
Yeah, exactly. I was going to
uh,
hope you carried us through that one. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So, but then like in the middle, it just got weird, and then there was the whole Braun Strowman tag teaming with a kid in the audience thing, and yeah,
our
it
good
just
friend Nicholas.
good friend Nicholas. Yeah, so it just it's tough to make it through all that as the Undertaker started his walk. Yet he may have, yeah, yeah. He's crossing the bridge into New Jersey. Um, so I know we all know that the main event is the women's title match. There is some ridiculous number of matches going on. We have the two battle royals that will take place on the kickoff show, if anyone's watching it, which I believe part of that is on USA, part of that is on like Facebook and Twitter and whatnot. It's all
Yep,
over
all
the
the
place.
streaming networks.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
right. So um, we're not gonna dive into every match that's on the card because there are just so many, and how many of you actually care who wins
Wait,
the Andre the Giant?
we're not talking about every single participant in the Andre the Giant or the women's battle royal. I'm kind of disappointed about that.
Yeah, yeah. I want to see like are they like is Gronk gonna come back for this? That's what I want. That's really what I want to know. Is Gronk coming back for the battle royal? Anyway, we're not talking about those. We're going to talk about some matches. Even and I'll be honest with you, even some of the ones that I put on the list to Taz that we were going to talk about. After I put it on the list, I'm like, I don't know about that one, but I'm going to stick with it. So let's start with Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin. Give me a reason to care about this match.
It will be the last time that you will see a gold medalist in the ring.
Hmm.
And honestly, that is about it.
Yeah.
I'm really not excited for it.
Mm-hmm.
People are saying, or the internet wrestling community talking about, well, Kurt Angle's being punished because he went to TNA. If you guys really think that matters, that they're gonna punish him because he went to go make a career
Right.
somewhere else. I mean, you guys need to get a life. But no, I do think that it's the last time you're going to see Kurt Angle wrestle,
Mm-hmm.
which is I truly think it will be the last time. His body's breaking down on him. He
Oh
really
yeah.
doesn't have a reason to continue in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. There could easily be a surprise, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it later, but maybe I'll just bring it up right now. We
Yeah.
still don't know if John Cena has anything going on,
Right.
and Undertaker is in New York, from what I've heard,
It's,
but they haven't said anything that he's doing.
that's the rumor. Yeah. Yeah. And there's always rumors about who might show up, right? But you would think that if the Undertaker's in New York, they're trying to do something. They have to be doing something, right?
Yes, you would think.
So, oh, the cat's trying to make an appearance. Yeah, I don't. The storyline that they've tried to build on this is just not won me over in any way, shape, or form. There's just there's nothing to it that's like, yeah, I'm really excited about this. They had Baron Corbin win matches on the run up just to try to build up some of the character. I don't know. And then what? Rey Mysterio was teaching him some respect this past Monday.
Well, and I think the storyline has been good. It's
Hmm.
just nothing's there. I mean,
Yeah,
the fact that Baron Corbin has held him down, made sure that he's made a life living hell for him ever
yeah,
since he stole his GM job.
right,
So I mean, if you look at it, we're no longer in the era of the late '80s, early '90s where you can carry a storyline for 9 months and people still be excited.
yeah,
So I think that's part of the problem. It's been such a slow burn for a long time that nobody cares anymore.
right.
And it's also Baron Corbin. You can't really take him seriously when he had that long hair, and now that he's got a shaved head, you still can't take him seriously.
I do like his theme song. I'll give him that much. But
That's about it. That's about the only credit we'll give him.
so Corbin tweeted this out. It actually looks pretty good. It has a thing that says an unprecedented 8-star match, and the caption is enjoy your last week because after next Sunday it's Murder She Wrote, puzzles, and tapioca pudding. That's pretty good. I'll give him some credit for that. So
Well,
uh,
that might be the only interesting thing that he's done in the ring in the last 3 4 weeks too.
yeah,
So yeah, I don't know that there's much of a reason to care about the match, except for the fact that Kurt Angle will be ending a very, very great career, and the
that's
fact
true.
that he's already in the Hall of Fame. I
Yeah,
mean, that tells you something already.
exactly. And his Hall of Fame acceptance speech was great. So that's also good too.
And
Uh,
actually, one other thing before we go to the next
yeah,
match,
yeah.
it will be interesting to see that in his last match, does he win or does he go out a loser, as is the wrestling tradition?
That is the tradition, is it not? I guess, which is weird, but yeah, I wish we could bring back Stone Cold too. Everyone does. We got the female Stone Cold now, right? That's what's
Yes,
happening.
we do. The man.
What that's we'll get to in a second. But I know I had a certain list, but I wrote some things down, probably a little bit off kilter here. But just to transition to the women's tag title, um, whenever Bailey and Sasha won, it became we'll defend this on every brand. I think they were at NXT once or twice. Um, SmackDown once. They lost to the Iconics,
Yes.
and then of course there's Beth Phoenix coming back out of retirement, um, looking good as ever and strong. I'm not really debating that she could still do what she needs to do in any way, shape, or form at all. Um, but it was good. It was a good move on WWE's part to have this women's tag team and championship and build this up. Um, to me, it feels too soon for a title change. What do you think?
I agree with you. I don't think the title is going to change there. The Boston Hug Connection are rolling strong, and based on what you've heard backstage, they've been battling for this for a year, just
Hmm.
bugging Vince every single week at Raw, saying, "Hey, can we get this women's tag team title? Can we get a women's tag team title? Hey,
Yeah.
Vince, can we get another title?" And I think it would be too early, but this is also one of those dumpster fires where they have 4 women too many in the match. Make it a make it a normal tag match. 4 women,
Hmm.
2 on each side, and I think it would be more interesting as opposed to trying to get as many participants to payday on the main show.
Yeah. So one of the narratives that has surrounded the Boston Hug connection for the last year or so, usually Corey Graves brings up, is that Sasha is going to betray Bailey at some point in time, right? But it feels like to me that part of the storyline is gone now. Do you have any reason to think that could potentially still happen in this?
I don't think that it's ever gone because that is actually one of the most interesting slow burns that we've
Slow burn.
had. It
It
should
is
have
a slow
it should
burn.
have it should have happened probably 3 times over,
Hmm.
but I really do think that it is intriguing. And you know what? Sasha could just get a wild hair and say, you know what, I want this to be done with. Have a good old Strike Force moment from WrestleMania 5, could have a Rockers moment from the barbershop. Just say, I don't need you right now.
Yeah.
This is over. And, you know, the only thing is, I think that should happen over like the women's title. I don't think it should just happen because they have the tag titles and then they just split. It
Yeah.
would be disappointing in my book.
Yeah. So when I was looking around for some tweets and stuff to add into this, I found this one by Lunatic Class. It says, "I can't believe it's been one year since they dropped the hottest rivalry of Sasha and Bailey and turned it into a joke when they could have had the best non-title women's match at WrestleMania. I'll forever hate WWE for that. That's pretty intense.
It's pretty true too, though.
Yeah, it was a good rivalry. They had some good stuff going there for sure. So I can understand the hatred, but at the same time, like you're saying, it's a potential slow burn that could still be coming to a crescendo somewhere along the line.
Well, I think Shawn Michaels and Triple H have proven good friends make better enemies. So just because, I mean, they could possibly do this back and forth for the next 5 years easily, and
Yeah,
there's been others that have proven that that is the case.
right, exactly. I completely agree. As far as interest in this match overall, I know you don't like the it being like a fatal four way type atmosphere, so I assume you have interest in it. But I mean, where does it rest on the amazing amount of matches for WrestleMania? Where would you put it?
I feel like I should steal a Bruce Pitcher line and say, "Oh, it's definitely top five." But
Yeah.
it's going to be a good match. It's probably going to be in the middle of everything.
Mm,
The fact that it's a four way is going to take away from a lot.
yeah.
But I really like Bailey. I really like Sasha Banks.
Mm,
So seeing what they do, the fact that they come from underneath, and they'll find a way to win. And actually, Beth Phoenix was really not my era. So the fact that I've actually gotten to see some of her work coming back is very interesting. And Natalia
mm,
is just probably the best worker they have in the female
yeah.
division.
Yeah. Mm,
So I think that it will be a good match. It's not very high on my list of stuff that I'll watch, but it definitely won't be a popcorn break.
yeah. Yeah. That's true. I definitely agree with you on that one. Yeah, you mentioned Natalia, and I didn't mention her in the lead up to this, but you're right. I mean, she's definitely one of the hardest workers. She obviously had her father pass away not too long ago, um, and the heart connection's going in the Hall of Fame. So I'm sure Saturday night will be an emotional night for her. And then you have the title match on Sunday with Beth Phoenix, who actually they worked together uh, at the end of Beth's first run too. So lots of emotions for Natalia, I'm sure.
Yeah, it will be a full weekend for her, without a
Mm,
doubt.
yeah. All right. Well, moving on to the next one, we got Bobby Lashley versus the Demon. The Demon is back. Maybe we should start wondering if the Demon has started making his way down to the ring yet, because
That's a valid point.
yeah. So Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley. Leo Rush somewhere around. Uh, he's so tiny. He's so tiny. Not that I can talk. I mean, he's bigger than me, but he's tiny when it comes to Bobby Lashley. Um,
Him and Hornswoggle, right?
yeah, that's right. So everyone, I mean, lots of people love Finn Balor to begin with, and then he brings out the Demon. So that's the attraction of this match, right? I mean, is there more to it?
No, there's nothing more to it. I mean, it's kind of a disappointment. I love seeing the Demon still undefeated,
Mm,
but just it's amazing how they bury someone that is as great. Actually, and Bobby Lashley's great too at what he does. The fact that they paired him up with Leo Rush is amazing, and kind of transformed him into a new got him to that next step that he needed. Obviously, he's a former world champion, ECW, and also, headline. You can call it a headline, but was a main event for like WrestleMania 23 with a
mm.
hair versus hair match,
Yeah,
if
right,
you
right.
want to call it that. But the fact that they've just done absolutely nothing with Finn Balor is just kind of a disappointment. And why has it taken? I think, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. It's been over 18 months since we've seen the Demon, and why does it take that long? You're telling me when he wrestles for, we have a undefeated character, and
Mm.
he's wrestling for the, I believe it was the WWE Championship,
Yep,
and
yep.
he doesn't bring the Demon out.
That's right.
There's certain linear things that don't make sense. And yes, I know we're in a, we're supposed to suspend a belief, but I mean seriously, why would you not bring the Demon out when you're wrestling for a title,
Yeah,
especially as big as a world title?
I agree. Kaiser says Beth Phoenix is his future wife. He'll
I
have to
think
talk to Edge about
Adam
that.
Copeland has, yeah, Adam Copeland might have
Yeah,
something to say about that.
yeah. Um, got the Finn Balor theme playing in the background, by the way, because it's one of my favorites too. But hope to God they don't waste time having the demons show up. They already said the demons showing up, so you have to deal with it, unfortunately.
Yep, the Demon was officially announced on Monday night.
Yeah.
So
Wait, we're getting to the part, right? We're almost there. He's walking down the ramp. He's looking at you. He's pointing. He's showing his tremendous abs. Right? Got to show those off, right? Then you got to do that.
That is
There it is.
that is my wife's favorite moment for
Yeah.
Finn Balor right there.
Nice. So yeah, I agree with you on this. It's just not that interesting. I will be more in tune to the entrance than the match. Like then that's not a good thing in any way, shape, or form. So
Well, and also with a card that has 15 matches on it, I
yeah.
believe last count, I'm not positive. There's going to have to be some sort of short ones.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, this goes back the way of WrestleMania 3, WrestleMania 4, where you had a 4 minute match
Mm-hmm.
and the demon just annihilates and has a 4 minute match. As much as I like both participants and Bobby Lashley with his amateur wrestling background, um, yeah, this is one of these that you pretty much have to move on to the next match. Get it done, let the demon win the title, and just bring the next two participants out.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah, there's way too many matches. We're gonna have some that are like 10 minutes max. Um, so
We hope, because
yeah,
we also know that it has gone over 6 hours before.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty bad, pretty bad. All right. Well, this one's I guess been built up a little bit, but Triple H versus Batista. Batista has some time on his hands, so he can come back to wrestling for one match. I guess I don't know. He's been cutting some pretty decent promos, in my opinion, even though he hasn't said a lot necessarily.
First time in his career that he's cut some decent promos, right?
Yeah, all that acting has helped him out a lot, I guess. But he's faced Triple H. They had the whole Ric Flair birthday party where Batista supposedly attacked Ric Flair, and then he screamed, "Do I have your attention now, Hunter?" And that's where we are, right? So yes, Drax will annihilate. That's right. uh, so I mean, I think this is an interesting match. Triple H can never seem to go away, but the stipulation here is that if he loses, he will not wrestle again. Heard that one before, I think. Feels like.
Yes.
So I'm interested in this. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see how it plays out. I want to see. It's probably just gonna be like a brawl. I'm guessing. Could be a short match too. You never know. I don't know. Uh, you interested in this one? Has Batista brought you back in any way?
I think that the storyline has been done very well. Bring
Mm-hmm.
Ric Flair back and advertise him, make it the biggest show of the year up to that point, and Ric Flair doesn't show up because he gets beat up by an unannounced Batista.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great way to introduce it. And in real life, Rick and Trips, as he likes to be called, they're really good friends. So I think it's a great way to, blur the lines and say, hey, let's make a storyline. I know a lot of people aren't excited for it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a better match than most, and the career aspect kind of makes it more interesting. We know that Triple H gets hurt a lot more often in his
Mm-hmm.
last ring appearances, especially in Saudi Arabia, I think it was,
Yeah.
when he
Yeah.
tore his pec, I think,
Yep.
or did something to his shoulder.
Right.
Um, I mean, it's nothing. If I was buying the pay per view, I wouldn't. This wouldn't be the reason I would buy it. But
Mm-hmm.
it is very intriguing. And false count anywhere, or is it false count anywhere?
Yeah. No.
Okay,
Believe so. Believe
so
so.
that will be interesting. And Bautista not in the ring in over 2 years, actually longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got my interest one way or another.
Yeah, and I guess I would say a few, even dating back maybe 4 months ago, before the whole like reunion of the corporation, I didn't think that I would see
Evolution.
Batista evolution. Sorry, yeah,
Yep.
I didn't think I would see Batista back in the ring. I really didn't. I thought that was over and done with. And
They
then,
did a great job setting it up, but
mm-hmm,
yes, I never thought that it would actually happen. You
yeah,
because they always have those small little swerves saying, "Hey, this might happen," but
mm-hmm,
just kind of like, "Well, that doesn't make sense," and then 6 months later, you forget about it. Where they actually told a storyline, it made sense, and now it's gonna finish in the ring.
right. So, Bleacher Report did a scenario type post on this match, and they called it like a dream and nightmare scenario. And in their eyes, a dream scenario would be that there's no interference whatsoever. Do you expect there'll be interference, and would you want to see that?
Who's going to interfere? I mean, are they? Is someone like Randy Orton going to come out and decide it? I mean, he's
Yeah.
already got something going on.
Hmm.
Ric Flair, is he going to make his prerequisite appearance and just distract somebody by saying "woo"? I really don't know how it would play out with anything that could possibly happen with interference.
Yeah.
So it's
Well.
actually something I didn't think about, and you caught me a little bit off guard
Yeah.
with it.
Sorry there.
But no, you're good. But yeah, I don't know, like who would Stephanie come out because she's trying to save
Hmm.
Triple H's career, or could she come out and be glad that his in-ring career is over?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's different aspects. I mean, just look at what Triple H and Sting when that happened at WrestleMania 31, I believe it was. I mean, you had the NWO come out, you had a
Yeah.
couple other different things. So yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know who the perfect foil would be to come out and who would interfere for who.
Yeah.
I mean,
You're
if
right.
Ric Flair comes out, does he come out and he says, Triple H, you should have protected me, so I'm going to cost you the match and your
Hmm.
career?
Yeah.
Or, yeah, there's so many different angles that I really don't know what's going to happen, and I
Yeah.
think that makes for a great match.
Yeah. You pretty much had the same argument that the folks at Bleacher Report did. And hi, Brad, how you doing? Also, holding out for Rocket to sweep the board. I think that's a good call. Marvel Cinematic Universe versus the WWE. Maybe we'll get a Groot interference. Oh, actually, we can't now, right? Because we're no spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. Well, and one other thing before we go to the next match,
Yeah.
Triple H, for historically being the person that keeps pushing himself, has the worst record in WrestleMania history,
Right. Yeah. At least he's not always winning, right? That's true.
which was a huge surprise when I read that stat today.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. They actually also said that a nightmare scenario would be that Triple H wins this one. So if it follows kind of suit, then Batista takes the win, right? And the narrative
A-
that Triple
And
H
where do
can't
we
win.
go from there, though? Because
Yeah,
Triple H then can't wrestle,
right.
and yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think that makes for a good match on
Yeah,
Sunday.
definitely. I agree. I think this has got my interest a lot more than I thought it would when it was originally announced. Brad says Triple H definitely wins this because Batista said he'd only come back to the end of the career of Triple H with Triple H going over 2 years ago. All right, there you go. That's a good point. It's a valid point. Thank you for.
And it's a two year storyline, so
Yeah, right.
it's just amazing how they showed along the way.
Yeah, yes. And thanks for hopping in, Brad. I appreciate that and the feedback. Love it when other wrestling fans are around and I can actually talk to folks. So obviously that's why I pulled Taz into this. All right, where are we moving to next? I think well, we have oh, I wrote them down in the list, but I'm like looking at these going, man, I just can't talk about these ones a lot because the interest has waned in some of these now,
we,
like
we
over
can
the
whip
last
through them for
day.
one or two
Yeah,
sentences if
that's
you
all
want
right.
to.
That's
So
so. Let's go to Lesnar versus Rollins. They've rebuilt Seth Rollins up. I do have a Monday Night Rollins shirt I was gonna wear tonight, but I figured I'd try to be not so biased. That was the shirt I bought at WrestleMania last year. It's like the only thing I bought at WrestleMania last year, merch wise. So
my sister actually has the same shirt, so I know
nice.
exactly what you're talking about.
uh, Lesnar versus Rollins, I think it makes sense there. I saw a rumor today that there's potentially a MMA fight in Lesnar's future versus Daniel Cormier. Take that for what it's worth. I guess he's been leaving for every month now. It seems like, right? So, um, just tell me your overall thoughts on this match. How interested are you, and what do you think the outcome's going to be?
Well, if I was a betting man, and I am, I would honestly think that the one run-in that we will see that is unexpected would be Daniel Cormier actually showing up or doing something. He
Nice.
has had a tryout at the WWE Performance Center. It did
Mm-hmm.
get postponed, but he has had a relationship with the WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's something that could happen there. I think Seth Rollins wins going away because Brock has some other stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
But it's Brock. It's Paul Heyman.
Yeah.
He's just that cockroach that won't go away, that won't die. A lot of people don't like him. I'm a huge Brock Lesnar fan because of his MMA history, because he's
Mm-hmm.
an amateur wrestler. The damage he did as a Golden Gopher over at Minnesota,
Right.
winning the heavyweight championship. Man, I can tell you the year, but I want to say like 99, maybe
Mm-hmm.
2000.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm a huge fan of his. Seth Rollins is a great worker. And I don't see. I mean, normally this would main event any other WrestleMania, and I'm actually really glad it's not because I don't have as much interest in this as I would for other years
Mm-hmm.
because there's just way too many outside factors. Whether you look at Brock possibly going away, Seth Rollins trying to win the title for Roman Reigns, it's there's too many factors, but we also know that Brock Lesnar doesn't go away.
Right. Exactly. Um, so it was March 29th of 2015 whenever Rollins cashed in the Money in the Bank and beat Lesnar. So 4 years later, I guess. And I think that Seth Rollins tweeted out something the other day that said that it's a poster of Rollins versus Lesnar whenever Rollins was the title holder. He said he's kept it in his office for nearly 4 years for a very specific reason. It's a reminder of where I've been, and most importantly, of where I want to be. This was, when did he tweet this? March 30th. The world will finally get the right version of this fight. Redemption is upon us. Let's take it back. I like it. I like it.
Oh,
Uh,
they're doing a better job selling it there than they have the last month on Raw. So
that's true. Yeah, I feel like social media get better with their tweets, and I don't know how much freedom they have with this kind of stuff. I feel like that's something he just came up with, but
yeah,
as long as Vince loves Brock, you never know. But probably I see Seth versus McIntyre soon, so maybe Rollins going over. That's Brad's prediction. Uh, yeah. Oh, and Gordino just put Pat McAfee's name in there. He's going to be on the pre-show again, right? Pat McAfee.
yeah. I think he mentioned something about who the punter was, or
Yeah.
somebody did talking
Yeah.
about the punter. So
Right. Right. So, um, yeah, I don't know where this is going to be in the layout of things. I'll be very interested to see where they put it. I think it can't be right up against the women's title match in any way,
well,
shape, or form.
and that might actually be more interesting than the actual match itself, which
Yeah.
kind of says something. But I mean, I could probably see it like at about the 2.5, 3 hour mark, which obviously we don't know if it's going 4 hours, 6 hours, but I could see it kind of at that in between point
Mm-hmm.
where. But then we also have another world title match that we still have yet to talk about. See where
Yeah.
that fits in.
Exactly.
So there's a bunch of different things, but where it is, I mean, you hate saying it. It could even open the night, which would be kind of embarrassing for the WWE, or I'm sorry, the Universal Championship.
Mm-hmm.
But you could say that with the women's match being at the end. You also have the SmackDown, the WWE Championship,
Mm-hmm.
and other factors. I'm not saying that it will, but you could see about 6 or 7 different spots for where it could line up.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Gordino says maybe Brock is replaced with another MMA guy. Maybe. I mean, I'm sure they're always looking into the MMA world to potentially poach some more folks. But
Yeah,
it's hard
Matt
to,
Riddle.
yeah, Matt Riddle. It's also hard to, you can't really compete with Brock's exposure level, where he's at in the combat sports universe, I guess you can say. And then,
There's a reason why he's the only one that has a pay-for-play contract.
yeah, right, exactly. And then let's see, Brad says Lesnar whines about getting main event slots. Yeah, I've heard that before too, and maybe that's why he's ready to go anyway. Bring
Yep.
Conor McGregor to the WWE. That would be interesting. He's got a liquor to sell now though. So um, yeah, I don't know. I think Rollins wins this too. And you mentioned being a betting man. I know he was the favorite. I don't think the line has moved it anyway, but there's just a lot more you can do with Rollins, and he'll be there every week pretty much. So that's also very helpful in the long
And
run.
there's so many fans that are just begging for not the fact that the title needs to be defended every single
Hmm.
week, but at least have the belt inside the building every
Yeah,
single week.
yeah, exactly. No chance with yeah, yeah. McGregor's not coming right. I agree with you on that. So yeah, I think let's move to the other to the WWE Championship, Kofi versus Daniel Bryan. I could see this being later in the card, closer to the women's title match, because of the build up we've had with Kofi Mania and Kofi getting his chance after 11 damn years. 11 years. I've been here. Anyway, uh, it's I like it. I like the build up. I'm not really. I gotta say I'm not really been a big fan of the new Daniel Bryan though. Like it's not enough to really make me care about his side of the story. But the Kofi side I'm interested in. But there's also been a crazy build up. So talk to me about this build up for this title match.
Well, I have to disagree with you. I think
Eh,
Daniel Bryan, the new Daniel Bryan, makes it easy to hate him.
well,
And
that's yeah, that's true.
the
Mm,
best thing is, either you're a huge fan favorite or you have a ton of heat. It's
yeah.
when people sit down when you come out. That's the worst thing as a sports entertainer. But yeah, the buildup has been absolutely amazing. The fact that Kofi Kingston really wasn't even in anyone's title picture or any thoughts
Mm-hmm.
is amazing. And let's see, come what was it? Royal Rumble right after the Elimination Chamber
Mm-hmm.
was kind of the throwaway character, and just got this huge buildup. Is It's actually mind blowing. The fact that someone that's part of the New Day, a comedic faction,
Mm-hmm.
is now wrestling for the WWE Championship.
Yeah. So to me, the WWE Championship kind of got a little stale toward the end of AJ Styles' reign. Wasn't a lot going on. I wasn't really interested in it. It wasn't main eventing even like the SmackDown only pay per views for any and I could completely
Yep.
understand why that was the case. So maybe perhaps this whole storyline has elevated the WWE Championship again for me overall. Agree, disagree? What do you think?
No, I do agree. I think it's kind of, and when you think about it, that's the title that has the lineage. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
Universal Championship that Raw has, where it just started 3 years ago. This
Mm-hmm.
is the one that goes all the way back to Bruno Sammartino, to Hulk Hogan. So it has the lineage. Talk about SmackDown the way you want. It being the B show or the A show, or just call it whatever you want. But I do think that this matchup has been great for the brand, bringing some eyeballs to the title, and
Yeah.
just showing off how great. If you're superstar Billy Graham, you are disappointed that this is the title match because they're both 135 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're two of the best workers in the ring, in the world, and they can tear down the house anywhere that they go. So I think that's going to be a great aspect.
Yeah. Brad says there'll be riots if Kofi doesn't win. Maybe a quick switch to give Kofi a run, then give it back to Brian for the Fox deal long term. That's definitely a potential thing that could potentially happen for this. But I know there's another topic surrounding this build up with this that the WWE has put themselves in some hot water. Again, they have a tendency to do this. Well, Vince McMahon has a tendency to do this. Let's say that.
Yes, he does.
And he was WWE was recently profiled on John Oliver's show this past Sunday, where some of this was brought up. But why don't you enlighten the folks on some of the discussion around the build up with Kofi and Daniel Bryan?
Well, with Daniel Bryan and Kofi, I think the biggest storyline, and it's one that you'll never hear on the actual show,
Mm-hmm.
but there has actually, and you can count The Rock if you want, but there has actually never been an African American champion that has held the WWE Championship. And there's kind of a subtle storyline. Big E has kind of played off of it on social media, and that Vince McMahon is using racism as a way to just keep the New Day and keep some of the African American wrestlers. There's a certain ceiling that they can get to and never break past. So to me, I think that makes the storyline that much better. It's a great way to say what you want about Vince McMahon, say what you want about the racism angle. I do think it's a great way to promote Kofi and make it into him being the possible next world champion and the first African American champion.
Yeah, and I don't. If you also saw the tweet I had up there, Abdul Malik has is a graphic designer that has done a lot of wrestling stuff over the years. But he did one where it shows Kofi with the title around his belt, but he's like looking back up at a lineage of former African American superstars that never won the title, and it's really well done. He actually works with Chris Jericho a lot, so that's a pretty cool graphic that he did as well. But yeah, there's definitely been an that the racism factor potentially there, having to make Kofi go through so many hurdles, having to beat so many people. Rock Booker T, Mark Henry are the only three
And,
recent. Yeah,
yes, and I was just going to say Brad makes a good point
yeah,
saying that those three have held it. The only thing is that's the big gold belt which has the lineage back to WCW,
yeah.
where Ron Simmons has been an African American champion,
Mm-hmm.
and Bill Watts and Ted Turner, those guys have never had a problem with a black champion.
Yeah.
Where when The Rock was a champion, he was always part of the Samoan lineage and never really promoted as the first black champion.
Right. Yeah. It was more about the Samoan part, and that's what you hear about. Right.
Yeah,
Kinda. Yep.
exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, I completely agree with you. There, just the way that the hurdles that Kofi's had to jump through to get to this point, which you're right in many ways that build up, it builds up what the story is, and that it gets even more fans behind him. Right. Um, so it's been an interesting build up, but they're still there. Yeah. R Truth. Yeah, R Truth won
The big gold belt
the big
version, I
gold
believe
belt
as
too.
well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I think so. And he was a recent USA or champion too, right? But that was just so he could look up to his idol John Cena, right?
Yes. Well, and also when you take a look at you know, the placement on the card where this is going to be, you can't put this as the second to last match
Mm,
because this is going to steal so much thunder from the women's main event if it is, because if Kofi wins, everyone is just going to be so hyped, so hot for, what just happened,
yeah,
that it will kind of be the women's match. It's not an afterthought, but you could easily bury it if they do have it as the number one, or as the match right before the main event, the co-main.
that's a fair point. That is definitely a fair point. I wonder if this would be something they would start off with to get the crowd hot. I don't know though, because then you run the risk of super downtime popcorn breaks in the middle, like bathroom breaks galore, more or less.
Well,
Um,
and you were there last year. Nobody
yeah,
wanted to see Roman Reigns, right? Versus,
right.
was it Roman Reigns, Triple H, or what? Or what was the main? See, I don't even know what the main event was, but everyone left
It was
because
Roman
nobody cared
and
about it.
Brock, I think, wasn't it? Yeah, because no one cared.
Well, yeah, I guess that happens every 3 months,
Yeah,
anyways.
pretty
Roman versus
much.
Brock.
I mean, there was so many matches in the middle that just no one seemed to care about. Like even like the Asuka Charlotte match last year, where Asuka lost for the first time. Like it took until probably the last 3 minutes for anybody in the physical crowd to seem to care. You know,
Yeah,
and that was just weird. But like I said, that was NXT definitely stole the show for me last year. But just want to say everybody that's hanging out, you're obviously fans of Taz, and I'm so happy for you coming in here to listen to him talk with me about WWE and the follows. So thank you so much. I very much appreciate it. I know I'm not a big Hearthstone player, but I'm learning from Taz and from Swaz, so so they can at least I seem like I know what I'm talking about. But thank you all so very much for being in here. We have the big women's match to talk about. That's what's left on the discussion list here. Um, what a build up! They were all arrested on Monday. They were all arrested on Monday. So we got uh, Ronda Rousey, the man Becky Lynch, and Charlotte Flair. I know you've said that you do not like the triple threat, the fatal four way type matches. Do you like the three ladies being in this one in this case?
the only three-way dance that I like are the ones in ECW when they just brought out the kitchen sink. But
Yeah.
no, I don't. I don't like the fact that it's a three-way.
Mm.
Charlotte brings some credibility to it, and just the fact that her and Becky Lynch have just had just a hellacious feud over the last couple of years
Mm-hmm.
is going to make this that much better. But why do you bring her in? And then on top of it, why do you give her the title?
Yeah.
So I think those are two strikes against it. I really think Ronda versus Becky Lynch would have been probably the highlight of the night by themselves as the main event.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there had to be some politics in the back saying that Charlotte is one of the best women in the world. Why can't she headline? Um, and then just the complete oddball decision of, hey, let's just have both women have titles. And why? Did you really need to introduce a second title? Is Asuka not one of the best women in the world and she can't? I understand the fact that they're trying to eliminate a match, but
Yeah.
why would you bring a second title into it? And it goes back to us talking about Shayna Baszler. When they bring two titles into a match, are they going to consolidate to one belt? Which I really hope they don't. But that happens, you're going to have an overly crowded women's division, and you're really not going to bring anybody up from NXT right there
Yeah.
because of it.
Completely agree. So a little tangent. It looks like Becky Lynch posted on Twitter about an hour ago. What a year it's been, lads. What's been your favorite Jiff pick or burn on the road from the pre-show to the main event? And she has her own hash flag, as they called it whenever it was during the World Cup. Just says the man if you type hashtag Becky Lynch. That is crazy to me. That's
Wow.
crazy to me. Um, so she posted the one where she's bloody on the during in the stands there, and of course she got a lot of replies here, uh, which are definitely interesting ones. I'm sure you could scroll through that, but she posted that about an hour ago, and there's them getting arrested last week as well. So there's some after the interview entertainment there. Just go to Becky Lynch's Twitter and see what everyone posts on there. I'm sure it's highly entertaining, but
I'm sure that will be a wormhole that you could spend a couple hours in.
yeah, you probably could. But Becky Lynch has obviously been the biggest superstar, really, in many ways for the last few months here. Um, and we do have the consolidated titles. Does the WWE then just take a hold of that momentum and throw the straps on her too?
I hope so. I think that this is her time. I think it's huge to have somebody that is the next Stone Cold, use the momentum, and she's been amazing at everything that she's done.
Mm-hmm.
Her interviews have gotten better in the last year. I really think that someone of her talent and the fact that she's got a rocket strapped to her back, why
Mm-hmm.
would you not use that? And I mean, you beat Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
Is there really anybody else more recognizable to beat to make yourself that much better?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's just going to be amazing seeing what happens from there. But yeah, I do think that she wins on Sunday night or Monday morning, depending on what time it is.
It could be Monday morning. It definitely could be Monday morning. Yes, we do know this is the main event. This will be the last match. It's the one that everyone's standing around. Charlotte or Becky gets pinned clean. Ronda can leave for a bit without getting pinned to lose the title. Becky versus Charlotte feud for the next few months. It's Brad's prediction. I can't argue that in any way, shape, or form. So there's been some rumors that Ronda might be taking a little bit break after this is over. Um, do you think those are true?
Um, I don't think so. I
Mm,
think that she is very good at a swerve. I
mm,
mean, she just had a great Twitter video, I think it was on Monday, talking about, her raising was it a goat or
mm,
something? I don't know what it was. I don't remember off the
mm.
top of my head, but I think she loves wrestling. She really gets into the character of it. And, I know it's a Vince Russoism, but it's a swerve, bro. So, yeah, I just think that it's a great way for her to just say, you know what? Yeah, she's going to lose the title. And then she ends up winning it and says, yeah, what now?
Hmm. Yeah. And to be honest with you, this is not a match where I've looked at the odds. It's one that I'm kind of trying to stay away from any kind of spoiler on because I just want to enjoy this one. I'm not really trying to worry
Kayfabe
about.
only.
That's right. Not trying to worry about what everyone's saying. That's why going on Twitter and seeing the stuff that they post is interesting. Um, Becky Lynch does tear people apart on social media just like she does in the ring, I guess, as well.
Yes.
Um,
And
so
it's actually a character that has her own personality, which we
yeah.
talked about at the beginning of the show.
Hmm.
When you crank yourself up to an 11 or a 12 and you're
Yeah.
your natural self, you end up having good things happen. But when you
Right.
try to be something that you're not and then you crank it up, it just becomes that much worse.
Hmm.
So it's great to see that WWE let her bring her own flag and run with it.
Yeah, and um, I don't know that anybody truly knew how quick this would take off. And
No,
um,
not at all.
I mean, they were definitely building this up. They were definitely intending to elevate Becky Lynch in some way, shape, or form. But yeah, this has been kind of historical in wrestling terms as far as how fast her notoriety has grown and just the exposure. She's got her own hash flag for goodness sakes. What is that?
Well, and especially when you look at what happened, they were supposed to fight at Survivor Series,
Mm-hmm.
and the fact that she had a broken nose,
Right.
orbital socket, whatever you want to
Mm-hmm.
say, just threw a wrench into it. And at that point, I think they said, "Hey, we need to have a three woman match at
Mm-hmm.
WrestleMania." Because I don't think that they just came up with it, 2 weeks before, and they said, "All right, yeah, Charlotte's coming in." I think at that point they realized that they had to have three women, but then this meteoric rise of Becky Lynch just kept going and going,
Right.
and she's become a person that is just way past a three-way dance that
Yep.
her and Ronda could have just headlined by themselves.
Yeah. Completely agree. Yeah. Well, I'm. This is definitely one of the ones I'm looking at as being one of the best on the WrestleMania card. I don't know if it'll eclipse any of the ones on the NXT card, but I expect a lot out of this match, and I hope it doesn't disappoint. And I really hope there's no botches. That's my biggest fear
Yes,
with
yes.
this.
Botchamania is alive and well, and you don't need to add to it.
Yeah, exactly. We don't need any more of that in any way, shape, or form. Um, all right, so that's what I told Taz we were going to talk about. No, I'm going to throw him for a loop. No, I'm just kidding. Alexa Bliss is the WrestleMania host. Are we going to see her wrestle ever again?
Well, when you started talking about the host, I thought we were going to talk about that. I was just going to say, who cares? I
Yeah.
mean, who cares that she hosts? Who
Hmm.
cares that Elias is doing?
Yeah.
It's great. I like seeing Elias. I love Alexa Bliss, but does it really matter? Because it's
Yeah.
already a 5 hour show. You're going to make it into a 6 hour show with a couple skits.
Hmm.
It's yes, involve one of the hottest women in wrestling right there with Alexa Bliss, one of the best ones.
Hmm.
But does it matter? It doesn't. It really doesn't. So yes, we will see her wrestle again. Hopefully, it's not health related. I know
Yeah.
there's a bunch of rumors about it,
Yeah.
but
Hmm.
you're the host. Who cares?
Yeah. Brad says he hopes the crowd is not dead. I'm sure it'll be dead at some point in time. The event is just simply too long, but let's hope it doesn't last for too long. Yeah, is there anything else that we haven't talked about on WrestleMania night that you're looking forward to or interested in, or that you're really anticipating happening?
I'm not exactly interested in this match, but when you get two potential Hall of Famers like Randy Orton and AJ Styles, I think that's going to be possibly the match that steals WrestleMania.
Hmm.
It's not a match for me. It's completely down on the list of matches, but I do think that has some potential of just stealing the show. Two guys that are on the bottom of the card and just flat out saying, you know what? Let's just go out and do something that no one expects. And
Right.
that also could be the match that is right before the women's main event. And if they go out and have a phenomenal match, pun intended, what's going to happen? I think those two somehow could possibly steal the show
Yeah.
in
Hello.
a different term.
Yeah. Right. Hey, J Mac and Brad. We kind of briefly touched on Cena and Taker. We expect Taker something out of Taker. I don't really know what to expect out of Cena. I'm not. I don't really know. Do you have a feel on what we're gonna get out of Cena?
Brad is very good with his not being kayfabe only. I know that he is a big guy that reads some spoilers and stuff,
Yeah.
so I'm sure he has some knowledge on it that he could possibly drop.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the best way would be to incorporate it with a Kurt Angle match, like we said earlier.
Yeah.
Whether they, and it could be a co-op thing. Does the Undertaker take out Baron Corbin,
Right.
and then John Cena fills in the spot? I mean, there's rumors that Undertaker is looking very slim and in ring shape, whether it's for WrestleMania or if it's for the next Saudi Arabia card. You never know.
Cena comes out on Elias. Brad says Cena versus Angle after Corbin win. Okay, that's fair enough. Yeah, I think making it tied into the Corbin match and Angle match somehow makes the most sense as well. So,
Yep, I agree.
J Mac, thanks for stopping by. Did you get any wins, by the way? Because I'm sorry I couldn't help you. All right. I'm just gonna run through the. I'm gonna run through the card that I know is happening on WrestleMania, and I just want your winner. All right. I just want your winner.
Got it.
All right. Do you? And I'll give you the option. Do you want to even guess on the battle royals or not?
Braun Strowman,
Okay.
I don't even know who's in the women's match. That's awful to say, but I know Naomi's feet aren't going to touch. But other
Yeah,
than
right.
that, that's the only thing that I know.
I'm going. I'll go. I agree with you on Strowman because it just whatever, But Mandy Rose for the women's just because, you know,
Because
that's the
she's the next step. Yes, I
yeah,
could see that happening.
yeah.
Yes, I agree with you.
Um, Cruiserweight title match: Buddy Murphy versus Tony
Next,
Nese. Okay, Buddy Murphy
I
retains.
like I like Tony Nese personally, but
Mm,
yeah, that's one of those that's just a next.
yeah, Ali wins all the battle royal because Vince seems to like him. Yeah, can also see Braun, right? All right. Yeah, the revival versus Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder. What? That's a match? Is
I
that
guess I
really?
used my next way too early,
Yeah,
but
you did.
yeah. Um,
Is that really a match? What?
Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins win on the upset because
Hmm.
Kurt Hawkins needs a win.
I gotta tell you, I missed the first hour of Raw this last Monday, and it says that this was seed was planted at the Go Home Raw, so I must have missed that completely.
I watched Raw and I must have completely missed that. I
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, I must. We might have to go back on that one. I don't know. This was posted 10 hours ago though, so unless they're cheating me out of it, I don't know. And I don't know why they would do that either, Brad. That just seems like way off. It doesn't make any sense.
If that's on the main card, I will be turning it off and I will probably not be watching the rest of the show. I will say that much.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Glad you got a win, J Mac. By the way, SmackDown Tag Team Championship. The Usos versus Ricochet and Aleister Black. The Bar. You got to do this, by the way. And Rusev and Shinsuke Nakamura. Before we even get to your prediction, I know you're a big Liverpool fan, and they had Sheamus at the Premier League event in Boston, and he even did the bar thing there. He's hooked into the gimmick so hard he can't get away from it. Um, Smack.
With a quick little side note, me and El Gordino have been at that bar
Oh
on a
yeah.
Patriots day,
Oh nice.
and I still don't know how we got home. We'll just leave it at that.
Nice, nice. Boston was pretty popping for that event. It was nice to see that. But and yes, also Taz gets points because he's a big soccer fan. So if you've been in the channel before, I talk about that a lot as well. So
Well, to
um,
be honest, D Fresh invited me and he said we're talking about minor league soccer and we might get to EPL. So
yeah,
that's what hooked me in, and then he just started talking about WrestleMania. So I really don't know what happened.
yeah, that's right. That's right. All right, the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. Do the Usos lose the belts here or not?
You're gonna have to go through
Yeah.
who are they facing again?
Usos versus Rusev and Shinsuke, The Bar, and Ricochet and Aleister Black, who are also in the tag team title match in NXT.
Yeah, I think the Usos retain. I mean, the fact that they have held the belt, and I do believe that they are six. Well, they could hold the title 13 times
Mm,
for all I know. But yeah, I don't see it changing. And if it does change, it's just going to be a huge storyline for coming up for the next 6 months, or it is WWE for the next 3 weeks.
right. Yeah, I think the Usos keep that one. Angle versus Corbin. Got.
I think if that match holds true, I
Mm,
do think Corbin wins because Angle will do the job.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I agree with you, but I think we're gonna get a swerve on that one at some point in time.
A swerve, bro.
It's a swerve, bro. The Miz versus Shane McMahon. I just can't get behind this match at all. Got a winner for me on that one.
Let's go with the Miz for no other reason than to promote his television show.
Miz and Mrs. is back for a second season.
There you go.
Women's tag team match: Sasha Banks and Bailey, the Boston Hug Connection, versus Beth Phoenix and Natalia, Nia Jackson, Tamina, and the Iconics.
We are going with a Boston Hug connection.
Boston Hug.
It's
That's
way
right.
too early for them to lose the title.
That's right. Shane needs to go away from matches. I agree, Brad, but he's jumping off of something this weekend. Just don't know what it is yet. Just don't know what it is yet. United States Championship: Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio.
I see Samoa Joe winning. It
Mm-hmm.
was way too early for him to lose the title,
Mm-hmm.
but with Rey Mysterio being hurt,
Mm-hmm.
look for something to happen there. I don't know what, but I just whether it's a substitute, whether that could be a perfect spot for Cena, and that
Mm-hmm.
way Samoa Joe ends up facing John Cena, and that's going to be a good match.
Yeah, it could be that whole spin where Mysterio is hurt, but I still need to wrestle at WrestleMania, so I'll do an open challenge thing, and out comes Cena, right? But in the end, I think Samoa Joe still walks away with the title, just so people can chant Joe, Joe, Joe over and over again. So, uh, the Demon versus Bobby Lashley Intercontinental Championship. Who you got winning that one?
The Demon wins in hopefully less than 4 minutes, so we can get on with the show.
Yes, there you go. I agree. I completely agree. The no holds barred match between Triple H and Batista with Triple H's career on the line. What do you got?
I don't even know what I said earlier, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think that it's something. Yeah, it's that nightmare scenario of what you said earlier.
Hmm.
Um, if I have to pick a winner, I got to go Triple H, but I think it's too close to call because there's too many outside factors.
Yeah. Completely agree with you on that one for sure. Uh, all right. Then AJ Styles versus Randy Orton. You mentioned that it's a one you're looking forward to, and it could be maybe the next last match on the card. Who do you think wins that one?
I think AJ Styles wins that.
AJ Styles wins. Yeah, and we've already seen the supposed phenomenal forearm into the RKO at SmackDown, so they got to up the moves already. Which you knew that was coming eventually anyway, right? So
Yes, exactly.
um, Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, which is a match that has come together quickly since Reigns came back. Um, who you got winning that one?
It's a feel good moment for Reigns, but I still think Drew McIntyre wins and starts his meteoric rise to a title by SummerSlam.
Yeah, I didn't buy the storyline behind this, and I think Roman can lose, and no one will care. You know that he lost or whatever. It won't become like part of the discussion the next day. Um, so
And when Roman comes out, that will be one of the top three pops of the night.
yeah, yeah, you're right on that one as well. So I agree with you on that one too. We're not disagreeing that much here, folks. But hey, it is what it is. Daniel Bryan versus Kofi Kingston. Who do you think's winning that one when it's all said and done?
Kofi Kingston.
Kofi has to win, right? He has to win. After all this build up, he has to win.
Yes, has to win, or else there might not be a ring by the end of the show.
Brock versus Seth. We both said that Seth's going to win that one. Just I think the rumor that there's a Cormier fight in the near future is more than a rumor. That's my opinion, anyway. So
Yes, I completely agree. And like I said, don't be surprised if Daniel Cormier does show up during the match.
right, exactly. And then the women's match. I think we both are expecting Becky Lynch to win here. I'm also going to say that I won't be surprised if Charlotte does win this match.
I see an argument for all three.
Yeah.
Like I said in the preview of it, Ronda might not be going away. It could easily just be that swerve bro,
Mm-hmm.
and you just see what It she could easily be going away, taking a nice little refresher. She has been on Raw every single week,
Mm-hmm.
and but yeah, I think Becky Lynch. This is her time to shine.
Definitely. Well, Taz, it's been wonderful. I'm glad you agreed to do this with me on somewhat short notice. Kind of just threw this at you a couple of days ago. Um, I hope you enjoy your WrestleMania time. Are you getting together with anybody, hanging out with friends? Or you just kind of watching at home? What you doing?
In years past, we've just kind of had a small gathering. Sister, my wife, couple friends, they come over. I'm obviously the biggest wrestling nut out of all of them,
Yeah,
so everyone had no idea what was going on when the Hardy Boys returned a couple years ago, and I'm the only one freaking out.
yeah,
So, there's those moments, and I'm sure if anyone had a phone, they could have easily just recorded that, and I would have been one of those freakouts on it too.
yeah.
But
Right.
no, we typically just, I'll probably have phone in hand, texting a bunch of friends, and yeah, I'll be watching live on the WWE Network for
Yeah.
$9.99 a month.
Nine, nine. Hey, listen to that plug. Listen to that. He works for him now. Awesome. Well done. That's Well done. So, well, I put Taz's link in the chat. I know a lot of you that have been chatting are very familiar with Taz's work, but make sure to check him out if you're not already familiar. And his Twitter is the same handle too, if you want to follow him on there. So definitely check Taz out. We might, maybe in the future, we'll do this again for another big event, for sure. Um,
And if I can just real quick
yeah.
before you kick me off the screen, tomorrow night with I'm So Brad, with Swazo TV, and with Trice C, we are doing a Hearthstone full set review. Rise of Shadows, the new expansion set
Comes
is
out
coming
tomorrow.
out.
Yep.
It comes out on Tuesday, but
Tuesday.
we're doing a full review. All the cards just dropped yesterday. So we'll be
Mm.
going through each and every single card. We've got a unique system going on. We'll be talking about standard and wild, and super excited for that. We're should be a lot of fun. We'll have four people talking about it. Most of the stream reveals and the cards that have dropped usually get talked by only standard players or only wild players. This should be unique because we'll be dropping knowledge on both sets, standard and wild. If you are a Hearthstone player, you understand what I'm saying. But really excited. Will be 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. It will be on my channel at twitch.tv ECW Taz 4. And yeah, we're super excited. We'll be going 7 o'clock Eastern Standard, like I said, and Instagram and Twitter is ECW Taz 4. So that's all I got.
Yeah.
And it's been an honor and privilege. I appreciate the interview. Like I said, I will gladly come on. We can talk EPL. We can talk some lower league soccer,
Hmm. Hmm.
and anytime you need something, D Fresh, I'm here. So I
Yeah, I
appreciate it.
appreciate. No, I really appreciate it too. Trice dropping that old man emote in the chat there too. Um, yeah, check that out tomorrow. That for Hearthstone players, that'll be a great discussion for sure. Become familiar with most of the folks you mentioned in some way, shape, or form. So definitely be a great discussion. And thank you for coming on. We can definitely talk soccer at some other point in time too. We've had fantasy golf discussions on the channel, which we'll probably do again next week because it's Masters Week next week. And
All
then
right, I'm booked. I'm in.
yeah, and then we'll do. We've had obviously wrestling. We've had Jimmy Conrad from U.S. Soccer fame on the channel too. So we go all over the place. But believe me, I appreciate talking to you. It's been fun for me. This is something I really like doing, and so definitely we'll definitely want to have you back